kingdom. When she passed on, the only way to honor her was to name that leaf Aware. Till date, every year we keep on remembering Aware. Aware leaf is anchored on good luck and protection. That's what it means. Oba Ewai in history stands taller than any other Oba in the kingdom. For example, he was a powerful warrior who conquered over 201 towns and villages, including Kukuruku and Ikare. Whatever institution that is invoked today, he actually started it, like Igwe Festival. We also call it Igwe Festival. If you've been here in December, you will hear songs like this. Don't you know it? You can sing with me. All right. That's the way our visitors have been treated. And the leaf is given to loved ones as a way of appreciating them. It's anchored in good luck and protection. He was the one who also constructed the famous Akpakpava Road. Akpakpava Road has spanned over 600 years. He constructed that road, one of the longest roads in Nigeria. Because of time, let us move on to this. Prince Odogo, he was the only prince in the palace of Obai Henguda. Obai Henguda ascended the throne in 1578 AD and passed on in 1606 AD. He had only one son, Prince Odogo. He was so handsome that he was misconstrued for a girl. In Benin, our system of administration here is based on what we call primogeniture, a system whereby the heir apparent to the throne is not the eldest female child, sir. It's the eldest male child, whether anybody likes it or not, till date. And so, when the people saw him as a girl, it was crystal clear that he had no heir apparent to the throne, and they were worried. As a way of convincing them that he was a boy and not a girl, was convinced to walk all the way from Egwai Dakena to Selu down to the present palace of the Oba. Those who were privileged to see the nakedness, rather than being sad, they were very excited. At last, we have an Oba. Oba Topa. In 1606 AD, when the father of Henguda passed on, he became the Oba of Benin. And he now assumed a new name, Oba Ohwa of Benin Kingdom. The prince must walk naked. Let us move on. This is Oba Esige. Oba Esige, one of the very most famous Obas in the kingdom. He was the very first Oba who established a diplomatic relationship with Portugal. He traveled all the way from here to Portugal, where he learned the Portuguese language. And then, the very first Oba who created a Guayoba for the mother. Prior to that time, before 1504 AD, in the time of his own father, Oba Ozola, if an Oba passed on, the wives went with him. Because the belief was that having ruled in a great kingdom like Benin, he would go to a bigger kingdom. Therefore, he would need the service of his wives. But in 1504 AD, when Oba Ozola, the father, joined his ancestors, it became inevitable that the son would have to sit on the throne. But then that was when it became difficult for the people to kill his own mother. He insisted, my mother must not be touched. And who was the mother? Queen Ida. And she emerged as the first Ioba to be left alone. And that woman did a lot. It is said in Benin, no woman has ever gone to the battlefield except the Queen Mother, Idia. Until date, you can see the logo used everywhere. It has become a symbol of our nationality. Let us move. For time's sake, let me skip this one. But this one is important. It revolves around Oba Ewai once again. Many visions of the King's Jester, Akaiwan of Benin. Akaiwan was the King's Jester. It could be likened to modern day comedian. In the entire kingdom, nobody has the right to openly insult the Oba. Till date, he could get beheaded instantly. However, there is one man who could do it, and that's Akaiwan. He could insult the Oba jocularly, and everyone would just laugh, including the Omonoba himself. There was a tragic coincidence that happened here in Benin Kingdom. And what was that? The same day, Oba Ewa lost his two sons, the heir apparent to the throne, Koboyua, and his younger brother, Izuara. Both of them died as a result of a heated argument that occurred between them. And when they died, no one had the gut to break this bad news to the Oba. However, the wise men, meanwhile, decided to pass through Akayomo. They trusted that Akayomo had the ability to convey it using a literary device called euphemism, a way of mellowing down the intensity of a very repulsive news. He actually was up to that. And then he decided to convey it in a parable. The rain at Iyowa did not get to Oselu, and the one at Oselu did not get to Benin. In Benin parlance, it was a clear suggestion of a tragedy. Through TV Hammer, Obaiwa got to know that he had actually lost two of his sons. He went straight into his Ogwa, his secret chamber. There he wept. And when he returned, decrees were passed across in the entire land. And in the space of 3 years, everybody must be ready to mourn the sad loss of his two sons. Some of the features: 1, in 3 years, nobody should brush his or her teeth. In 3 years, nobody should take his or her bath. In 3 years, no man or woman should have anything to do with climbing the mountain. You know what I mean? And in 3 years, you don't wash anything. Everything must remain static. However, it became so offensive for the people that could not cope. And that led to the very forced migration that subsequently led to depopulation. They began to leave. It was that period, sir, that the Ishan people left Benin. They were Benin, Ura, Isako, Auchi people, people from Ogwashuku, Asaba, Agbo, part of Onitsha. They were all Benis here. They were called, the original Benis. Unfortunately, that period, they left. You will all agree with me that in Benin, the Benin, in the history, Benin stands taller almost than any other tribe in Nigeria. But today we have been forced to the minority corner. That was where we got it wrong, that period. And so when they all left, they refused coming back. As a way of ensuring that those that were on ground were still intact, he introduced what they call Iwu, his clarification drawn on the face, a tribal mark that was so bold. My great-grandmother had it, my grandmother had it. It lasted until almost the end of the 20th century. That was it. Oba Akaramon, the comedian. That was the role that he played to ensure that the news was conveyed to Obaiwa. Let us move, sir.
Now, why is the face? Why is the face split like that?
Oh, he could to make people laugh. He could turn his face in two different directions, and everybody would just laugh. The African gorilla, and this rickshaw, the only vehicle that was available those days for short distances. Only the big men could afford this one, especially the high chiefs, from whatever address down to the palace, amidst drummers, dancers, singers, and so on and so forth. It was not only used in Nigeria. In Durban, South Africa, it was used. In the 1920s, it was used in Benin City by eminent chiefs to the Oba's palace, and for other short distances by the nobles. This one is Okun Owoton. Okun Owoton is very significant to our people in terms of longevity of life. In Benin, our people believe in longevity of life. If a man dies at the age of 60, 50, 60, 70, 80, is considered too young to be honored with this. At 90, there is an elderly man that will step forward to query the death. At what age then? 100 years and above. So in Benin, we say, honor biemo, honor onwe onwe sakpagodi, honor domwe agabiona, obiemo, honor moye, honor mwe sakpagodi, honor domwe rabiona. About 5 generations, it gets to the point when Baba or Mama will say, who also give birth to this one? Imagine his or her blood. So those are the people that are qualified till date to have this in their honor. A male will carry it amidst joy, singing, dancing, so on and so forth, from whatever address down to a modern statue to pay homage. Above the age of 19, sir. A 19-year-old man was considered too young for this honor. That is the reason why it is not common. Whenever this one is seen, it is a sign to show that the man had lived up to 100 years and above. So today that you have come, I am impressed. It is impressed in my spirit that you will not die before your time. You will all live to declare the goodness of God in Jesus' name. Then look at it, Biafra 1969. Some of the young ones who never saw war, they are clamoring for war. We must go, all of us must die. But those who have witnessed bullet, or that were narrowly missed by bullet during that civil war between 1967 and 1970, they would not clamor for war. We are one Nigeria. The map of Nigeria is the most beautiful map in the whole world. Am I right? The most beautiful. So if a part of Nigeria goes away, then we are going to have problems with that. It's going to be distorted. May we not break up in Jesus' name. This God will use to prosecute that war. Because they were actually dominated by the Portuguese. Not represent. During the time of the FCA. This bicycle was used by Professor Victor Uwaifo in the late 40s. More significantly is the fact that this was a bicycle he was accustomed to riding from Benin to Abudu to and fro. This was the bicycle. Then at the age of 20, he was already strumming the guitar with such an amazing expertise at the age of 12. How is contributed to nation building? The second public president of the High Social in the field to honor him during the citation. In 1983, he became a member of the Order of the Niger. And when Professor Victor Uwaifo was the first Honorable Commissioner for Arts, Culture and Tourism in Nigeria, I so declared this because the ministry actually started from Edo State. Victor Uwaifo. At that time, he led the delegation from Nigeria down to Berlin, the capital of Germany, where they had this carnival. So many things have been written about him. He has won several awards all over the world in certificates, in plaques, and trophies. All these buildings, he's been doing so many things. In 1977, he traveled the whole world at the rate of 77. He was in that first team. He's also a philosopher, sir. He had to say the graveyard is the professional secretary and the Lord wants in power. So this is independence as well. We have the boss of different headspaces and presidencies. Pallazo, Yakubu Gowon, Alhaji Soshagawi, Ibrahim, Muhammadu Buhari, General Muhammadu Buhari, General Ibrahim Babangida, Jared Dua, Goodluck Jonathan, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, that's him. So let us move for time. So that's the code weaver. This is the slip match. We have a slip match here.
Everybody will want to see this. I'm sure some of them, or everybody here should know. Anini.
Yes. Lawrence Anini.
Lawrence Anini, move closer so you can. The arm robber with the Oyenusi those days.
That's a terror. This whole called the Assassin's Square. What do you see as called were very important for the people of Benin. In fact, the people believe that the spirit and the soul of the ancestors are embedded here. And that is the reason why our people so believe that. Just in line with the Christian faith, the bridge between God and man is Christ. And so they also believe that the bridge between Osanuba and Oodua are the ancestors. They believe that the only way to get to Osanuba and Oodua, the supreme God, was to come and consult the ancestors. If you get to the Pallazo, we always talk about ancestors. How does it work? In Benin, if a child wakes up to say, good morning, sir, good morning, ma, such a child is considered as rude. The Beninese have over 52 cordial salutations. A child wakes up to say, Lamogun, de Lauhe, Lamezi. That's where Professor Victor Uwaifo hails from. They have been able to give answers to the definition of the word ethnography by sociologists. Ethnography is defined by sociologists as the division of people into races, into lineages, into clans. A clan is a large family group, and that is exactly what has happened to the entire kingdom of Benin. The Beninese are separated into different clans, and so when somebody says Lamogun, he's sure that such a one belongs to the clan of the Oba. Somebody says Lamesi, such a one belongs to the clan of Professor Victor Uwaifo, Justice S. Uwaifo, and co. La Gesa, La Genwa, La Vieze, that is the EAC line, to mention but few. So, and each of those clans holds on to these staff of office, the Ukure. Whenever anybody has anything to do in the family, they will go to the Okai by the head of the family, and they will pray through this. They will help us. This one is I know you know where this one comes from Lagos. So it's a way of reminding the Benin that once upon a time they conquered Lagos in the time of Oba Esige. He actually called. So today the Benin man still regards Lagos as part of Benin metropolis. This one Osogan emerged during the first dynasty. The last Ogiso was Owodo. Benin have spanned two dynasties, the first and the second dynasties. The first dynasty was made up of 31 Ogisos before the Obas became known as Obas. The first Oba of Benin was Oromio. It was the first Oba, and the present one is the 40th Oba, Oba Ewa Ogidigan, the Great, the second, Oba Tope. And so, like a dinosaur, it emerged over here and killing. It was one fun killing people, especially women on market days. It eventually took the heroic effort of the father of Ogiame, Evia, to dislodge it. When he did that, he became an instant hero, and so he wanted to rule of succession. But they told him that the succession belonged to the royal blood. And eventually, when Oromio came from Ife, it was Ogiame, the son of Evian, that withstood him. There was a battle at Okipara that was fought between them, but Oromio prevailed over him. And so Oromio, when he left, he gave back to Eweka. It's a long story, but for your time's sake, this one is the story of Joromi. Joromi, famous Joromi, he was a famous wrestler in Benin. He dislodged everyone. No one did him. He was the champion. When his father was going to die, the only thing he bequeathed to his son was a warning. And what was the content of that warning? My son, if I pass on, please, never you climb a palm tree at the backyard. But when the father passed on one Sunday afternoon, as he was taking a stroll around the father's backyard, he spotted this particular palm tree. He looked at it pensively, and he began to wonder why father would ask him not to climb. The daring Joromi just climbed on top of it, and it began. The sister turned into a fly and accompanied him. When they eventually got to the zenith of that tree, it grew out of the natural state. They were landed in a place called Hair, where Joromi noticed with all the dismay that the least person in Hair had 2 heads. But he wanted to find. The battle line was drawn. From one to the other, he conquered all of them. From the ones that had 2 heads, then to the ones that had 6 heads. He destroyed all of them, blocking off the extra heads and telling them categorically that they were better off having 1 head. Who asked you to have more than 1 head? On earth here we have 1 head. Who asked you to have more than 1 head? He quavered. But when that 7-headed spirit alighted, in fact, he was breathing and smoking fire. All over him was fire. And that was when the sister began to sing. Now, what's by interpretation simply means, my brother Jeremy, you're getting too over-ambitious for me. You don't have all, but here, you cannot fight the fire. Please don't. Against all odds, Jeremy, once more.
So Jeremy is not for that music.
No. It's a folk tale, yes. So Jeremy once more turned deaf ears. And for the first time, as he ran down to the battle line, he witnessed the bitter piece of death for the very first time. Life was knocked off him, and the man called Jeremy died. And when he died, luckily for him, the sister spotted a leaf that had life in it. She plucked it, squeezed it, and subsequently applied the juice on the 5 senses of his brother, who now regained consciousness. This time, when he stood up, he was no longer ready to fight. He began to race back to the earth, but Ubogiri would never let him go. He ran after him. When he got to the bridge between hell and earth, as he was going to cross over to the force, but we see hold of the late that he encountered out Ubogiri had with the mermaid is the cause of the group that humans have behind them today. So this is the palace of your mama for this of Professor Victor Uwaifo decided to ameliorate the situation because when he gets to the palace, it is not easy to see the other. It's a rigorous, it has been taken and rigorous. As a way of ameliorating that problem, he decided to bring Omonoba home here. So if you've been to Ring Road and you could not see the Oba, you can easily come here to see Oba Atokpe. When you see Oba Atokpe, he will here at the palace. So that is that is the motive. So we can as well say, Oba Atokpe! I know you still remember this man. There's no step saying Oba Atokpe to Omonoba. Okay. So Victor Uwaifo was a vision. Some of the costumes that he used on stage. He was
a popular guitar.
Yes, he invented it. There was no such guitar on earth. On a mention in 1967, sir, he took it to London for a mesmerizing performance. The white man saw it and started replicating it because at that time he hadn't the patent right. But then he made a follow-up when in 1905 he came up with what he calls a wonder of the magic guitar. You can see a medley between the keyboard and the guitar. It is the first of its kind, the only one. He's at the verge of getting the patent right of this particular one. The first guitar he played when he was only 12 years.
Same one.
The same guitar, sir. He was just 12 when he played that guitar. This is the powers of Uwaifo. Of course, time will not permit me to go on and on and on. But what is significant is that there was a punitive measure. So what is significant is that our artifacts, priceless artifacts were looted. How many of them? What happened was that when he was eventually arrested, and now he was tried by Captain Moore, they concluded that he must not sit on the throne anymore. And so what they did was to deport him to Calabar in 1897 in this boat, as you can see. And the paddlers paddling away, you can see the agonizing chiefs, some of them left with him down to Calabar. In between 1897 and 1914, there was a period of interregnum. The true heir apparent to the throne, Prince Agobasini Ogora Nogbaisi, could not ascend the throne because his father was still alive in Calabar. However, because administration can never be left in vacuum, that necessitated the appointment of the man called Chief Obaseki Ago, who was then the Iyase of Benin. He was appointed to serve as acting administrator. When in 1914, the same year that the Northern and the Southern Protectorates were amalgamated by Sir Loluga, Otoladi Uruebe in Calabar Utoli. In Benin, we don't say the Oba died. The Oba does not die. The Oba lives on. We say he passed on. In Calabar, he joined his ancestors. And when he did, the coast became clearer for the true prince to sit on his father's throne. And that witnessed the emergence of another Oba, Oba Eweka II, the father of Oba Kendra II, the grandfather of Oba Eretiawa, the great-grandfather of Oba Ewai Ogidigan II. Thank you, sir. At this point in time, that's the true picture of Oba Ogura, true picture. And Benin was like this at that time, beautifully arranged. Asoro, that's Asoro, whose power was embedded in his shadow. He could not die even with all the war machineries. He was still alive until his shadow was shot. That was the strength, the mystical strength. Jehovah Oba Yuwana committed suicide. Why? Because he would not want to divulge the secrets of the Benin kingdom. They wanted him to forcefully take him to start locating of Balfora. He said, I cannot divulge. I would rather die. And so he died the death of a hero. That's the man, Chief Obayuwana. This Chief Ob Chris came on you the only Please sit down, gentlemen. Please let us sit down.
Sit down, sit down.
Over the years, almost some people have asked for the glimpse in their eyes.
Gentlemen, come in now. Let's do this thing quick.
Alright, over the years, almost some people have asked for the glimpse in their eyes. Is it true that Professor Victor Uwaifo saw the Mami or the word called Mami Water? I'm here to confirm that the encounter that Professor Victor Uwaifo had with the Mami was not based on fiction, but on fact. The year was in 1967. He that told in 1963, he was already a graduate at the prestigious Yaba College of Technology. Subsequently, he was appointed by the Nigerian Television Service, now Nigerian Television Authority, NTA. NTA was just a stone throw from the Bar Beach. That was the setting at the Bar Beach in Lagos. The time was 1:30 a.m. At this auspicious moment, he had stormed through the night to the following morning. At that point in time, he welcomed the chance to go back home to freshen up for the day's activities. As he went for his trumpet and his guitar to go, he suddenly spotted the Mami right on the sea amidst the torrential effects of the Bar Beach. You know, if you've been to the Bar Beach, you find a wall of water from the right and from the left, and each of them meeting at the middle. It was amidst that Professor Victor Uwaifo spotted this Mami. In description, she was so beautiful, silver-white. The beauty could only be compared to the impressionistic art of an Italian foremost painter, poet, architect, and scientist called Leonardo da Vinci, who actually painted the most beautiful woman that he called Mona Lisa. In further description, Professor Victor Uwaifo, with dismay, observed that from the head down to the waist she was human, but from the waist down she was fish. He was momentarily lost in the wilderness of words. He could neither run nor shout, and he was tantamountably transfixed onto the same spot. But when he came back from the recess of his mind, as he attempted to get his boss guitar and his comeback to take to his heels, the Mami just swiftly, like lightning, swam towards him, looked at him intently in the eyes, and then said, "Victor Uwaifo, the guitar boy, you see, Mami Water, never, never you run away." And as soon as that titan was passed across, she just turned, swam away. Professor Victor Uwaifo quickly picked his campbell and his guitar, took to his heels. He never went back to the Bar Beach anymore until later in life when he came back to settle down in Benin. The significance of that encounter is the fact that after the pursued hit track called Jeremy, the root the global airwaves, there was a deserving follow-up in another song called The Guitar Boy Song. You will agree with me that till date, that song Guitar Boy still sells and spreads like burning bush in the harmattan. We're going to get this historical fact in a place that we call Mami Water Corner. But then, let us quickly walk down memory lane, the land of history. Those days, whenever any man was found guilty, perhaps, of treasonable felony, or he was found diverging the secrets of the kingdom, the Omonoba will ask him to go home and commit suicide. If he failed to do that, the king's executioner, they will take him straight to the evil forest, cut off his head, and spill the blood to the gods. That was the practice those days. Another historical landmark, those days, whenever it rained cats and dogs, so that houses were pulled down the floors and crops in the farms were tantamountably swept away by the same flood, the Omonoba will ask for human sacrifice. A female was given to appease the god of rain to make the rain cease. Invariably, whenever the sun scorched, such that thatched roofs of those days were burned by the heat from the sun, and crops in the farms were invariably withered away by the same heat, Omonoba will ask for human sacrifice. This time, a male was given to appease the god of the sun. we will find all these historical landmarks in a place that we call the City of Blood. But right now, our first port of call will be the Mami Water Corner. We aren't going to trek there. We're not going to take a stroll there. We're going to go in this flight. And so, my dear sir, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you all to the Revelation Tourist Pallazo flight Boeing 747. My name is Captain Chris, and we shall be flying at an altitude of 35,000 miles above sea level en route to Abuja. At this point in time, you are advised to fasten your seatbelts. And if you have any electronic gadget on you, such as GSM, you can be advised to switch off. Be informed also, ladies and gentlemen, that tobacco smoking is not allowed in this flight, as it is not only dangerous to your health, it is also dangerous to the airborne flight. Ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on this journey to Abuja, we're going to be entertained with some beautiful tunes from my voice, your voices, and the acoustic guitar. Thank you. Thank you. So let me hear that class, please. Thank you very much. I'll quickly take this one. This one is a gospel song originally done by an American gospel diva called Shelley Caesar, who actually wrote the song that she titled, I Have Decided. And I'm going to do it my own way. I hope you will sing along as we go. There's a kind of spirit that I prefer, spirit that I believe. Deep inside, I never change. I guess I've been deceived, cause the voice inside kept telling me that I've changed by and by. And the spirit made it clear to me the kind of life for life. There's the kind of spirit that I prefer, spirit that I believe. Deep inside, I'll never change. I guess I've been deceived, for the voice inside kept telling me that I've changed by and by. And the spirit made it clear to me the kind of life I like. I have decided, care and leave like a believer. Turn my back and through the deceiver. I'm gonna leave what I believe. I have decided, being good is just a fable. I just can't go I'm not able. I'm gonna leave it to the Lord. On the modulation, serve against the kings of being good. Here's your righteous days. Get the only good inside of you. He's the good that Jesus brings. When the war begins to see urgent, don't expect him to blood. Keep your eyes open and tell yourself, here we come by the word of God. I have decided, can't leave like a believer. Turn my back and the deceiver. I'm gonna leave what I believe. I have decided, being good is just a fable. I just can't cause I'm not able. Can we do that together? I just can't cause I'm not able. Let's go. I just can't cause I'm not able. Come on, do it for me. I just can't cause I'm. We're going to put in a song now. I just can't cause I'm not able. Go now. I just can't cause I'm. Everybody sing. I just can't cause I'm not able. Come on now. I just can't cause I'm not able. I just can't cause I'm not able. I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it to the Lord. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to take one from Professor Victor Uwaifo. Are we ready? Yeah. Kyoto, 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 oh, when I get you go, oh, when I get you go, never get to go. He can't be quiet. Oh, Gaggy Jacket, if you want for me, he gave me the car. He have you go set. Let's Well, ladies and gentlemen,
That's a nice one.
thank you very much. On this note, I'd like to inform you that the plane has just landed.
Yes.
I hope you had a nice time flying with us.
Yes.
We look forward to having you fly with us another time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Please, I got a question to ask everybody here. Honestly, the song Mami Water, anybody thought there was a story behind it?
Yes, we have read
He has done
several
interviews on it.
Oh, we did?
Yes.
Okay, because a lot of Nigerians, I mean a lot of Nigerians, maybe because you are in the industry, you had the opportunity. And I'm going to break this news, and you'll be surprised it's breaking. Because people thought Mami Water is just a song. They never knew that Prof encounter.
personal encounter.
Yes, personal encounter. That is wonderful. It's correct. Yes, I think it's been a wonderful experience. When we came in, I said, why is this aircraft here? Honestly, I didn't know that it makes a meaning. Yeah, makes a meaning. Please, your name again, sir?
Chris Eburu.
Chris.
Eburu. E-B-U-R-U.
Honestly, if you remember what happened in South Africa, I mean, these are the kind of things we need to bring foreigners to come and see, because they need to understand our history and our story. And when I was told by Prof that I need to come to the museum, I thought I'm going to see the usual museum product, but this is absolutely the unusual one. And two things, I never claim to say I know what I do not know. Honestly, I thought Mami Water was just
Imagination.
thank you, that's the right word. But for today, I must say that I think I've been seriously enriched. And among my own clients and my own friends, if I mention that Prof encounter Mami Water, they will be shocked that there was a reason behind it. Even Jalomi, did you?
Jeremy never said anything.
You never
Never
said
said anything about Jeremy.
This is the first time we are hearing something about
Yes.
Jeremy.
And Jalomi is a very popular, even if you're on this WhatsApp recently, somebody used Jalomi through BBC. Did any of you see it? Oh, but just 2 weeks ago, it was online everywhere. BBC used Jalomi to advertise their aircraft, British Airways.
Even when Nigerian Breweries was celebrating it, I think it was 50th anniversary. We used it
Oh, no, it's, okay. That's quite interesting. Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful experience.
So we'll just go to the last, to where we have the Mami Water corner. Yes, yes. No, this way, sir. This way, sir. So this is the recording studio. Yes, you see those as well. So, sir, this is the recording studio. That's the control room and section manager as well.
You mean recording studio again?
Yes. Even today it's still in use. People still come here to record. Oh, okay. Yes, yes. So the Mami Water corner is this way, sir. This is
Frank, sir.
hello. Hello. Yeah. Harry.
I'll call you later.
I like it good.
Ah.
Good because it's dead.
Wow. So places like this are in Nigeria.
What is wrong with all these guys now? Frank down. Where's Frank?
You're behind.
You should come closer. This is the city of blood. Is it
The city of blood.
Yeah.
The city of blood.
We fear him.
So,
Let them come, please, because it's good to have this. I'm highly enlightened today.
thank you so much, sir.
Very good.
It's very sad.
Where am I to salon? Okay, go ahead.
She was sacrificed to the god of rain to make the rain cease. He was sacrificed to the god of sun to make the sun cease.
Hey, will you take that thing out of this place? You have to make it. Where, sir?
He divulged the secrets of the kingdom. And you can see the Oba now directed him, commanded him to go home and commit suicide. He obeyed. But he refused, this man refused. And he was taken away by CNL into the court of his head, and then just went at the verge of crucifixion for his wrong deeds. Those days, this part of the kingdom was littered with corpse like this. You see the vulture, this particular one. You can see skulls and skeletons.
There's another Golgotha.
Just like this is another one. You're right. It was the Golgotha for the race, the kingdom, the kingdom of the news. With this, I'd like to inform that we have come to the end of the talk. I hope you had a nice time.
Fantastic. Very educating. Enlightening and refreshing.
I just can have a question.
Okay.
But maybe not just for this. This, you see, taking us through this historical journey, it has been so wonderful. Because you discover that children tend to have a feeling that they should come to this place. They may not grasp as much as we can. Is that
Literature.
because if you don't have, we should start.
We do, sir. We have a book that is sold for 5,000 naira. It's
Can I take that?
we do, sir.
Can I pick one?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Wait.
That's very good.
One observation.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Prof is not getting younger,
That's true, sir.
and this facility is on the other side because I've been here for the same journey for which you know still very vibrant. Okay, so I'm talking about 10 years. What I'm doing, or what is
Preserve this place.
Well, if I have to answer that personally, sir, this is my own opinion. It is often said that government does not have business in business. Am I right? But it is the duty of the government to create a enabling environment for private investors to thrive well. So this man single-handedly did this. We cannot quantify in terms of money, more over billions cannot carry what he has built here. Therefore, for the sake of humanity, if the government can as well come in, support in whatever way they can. Thank God our organization is here. So I'm sure he will further take this to the appropriate quarters.
I will do a call on that. You can take my word.
Thank you, sir.
Because I was going to say to him, if there was no literature, my plan was we help him to produce more. But since he has, let me see it first. But for government must come and support him.
Thank you, sir.
So, but if you only support, you don't take over the place.
He may not want. I will ask him now.
You find that, sir. If it is, I think you're making a point.
Which way out? That's going to the city of water. No,
Separate. So